welcome into Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Jeffrey Cooperstein with the offseason in full swing. I wanted to take a look at some potential offseason transactions that the Mavericks might make regarding their own free agents. So on today's show, we are going to break down each free agent that the Mavericks are going to have this offseason and whether or not they will be back with the team next year. Before we get into the show, though, I need you guys to hit that thumbs up icon for me if you haven't already. It's the free and easiest way to help out the channel. Go ahead, hit that like button. My goal for today's show is to get to 300 likes. The Mavericks have 3 free agents this year. It's not a whole lot. Spencer Dinwiddie, Dante Exum, and Kyrie Irving on the player option. Dinwiddie played on the minimum this season. Dante Exum slightly above the minimum. And Kyrie, obviously, with the torn ACL, kind of complicates things as far as his free agency and potential future with the Dallas Mavericks go. So let's break it down here first. And before we start, there's really not much wiggle room for Nico Harrison given the roster construction. With only 3 free agents, you're well above the cap and really close up against that first apron. It's going to be difficult for the Mavericks to do anything of great significance in free agency. I think trades are going to be the avenue that which the Mavericks try to improve this roster and get back into Western Conference contention. So free agency might be a little bit on the back burner for this Mavericks team. Let's start with Spencer Dinwiddie, though, who you guys know how I feel about Dinwiddie by now, but I do have to give him a little bit of credit. He did play the most minutes of any player this season, and he was signed to be the 15th guy on the roster. He ended up playing in 79 games, was active for 81 of those games, and he didn't really play in the play-in when the Mavericks beat the Kings and lost to the Memphis Grizzlies, but Dinwiddie did an okay job, all things considered, averaging 11 points for the season, 41.6% from the field, not really efficient. But I do want to bring up this point, and this is why I think Spencer Dinwiddie will not be a Maverick come June 30th, July 1st, whatever the case may be. Brandon Williams, after the Luka trade, played fantastic basketball, and he was on a two-way deal. He averaged more points to Dinwiddie on better efficiency. Dinwiddie did get a couple of more assists than Brandon Williams, but the efficiency of Williams and how he was able to really push the pace, didn't really turn the ball over, and was able to not replicate what Kyrie Irving did, but sort of be a similar player where he's a guy who's going to play with a significant amount of speed and burst. Dinwiddie, more deliberate. He gets you into your offense and knows what he's doing there. But I think Brandon Williams is more of the style which the Mavericks want to go, and I believe he is the better option than Spence, plain and simply. And they did sign Brandon Williams on April 10th to a contract for the remainder of this season and for next season as well. And now it's non-guaranteed, so they technically could get rid of Brandon Williams whenever they wanted to, but I would be shocked if Williams wasn't on the opening night roster. And with Brandon Williams there, a guy who we're going to talk about coming forward in Dante Exum, alongside Kyrie Irving, whose anticipated return is sometime in January, I don't think there's a spot for Spencer Dinwiddie on this team. But I do want to hear from you guys down in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. Should the Mavericks re-sign Spencer Dinwiddie for next season? If you think they should, type S for sign. If you don't, type P for pass. Like I said, this will be the pinned comment on today's show, so you may get hit with the YouTube ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And while that happens, go on down there and get your votes in. Dante Exum is a guy who is also going to be a free agent. The Mavericks originally signed him to a 2-year deal coming out of the Euro League before the 23-24 season. And I think Exum has been a really good signing for this Mavericks team. He's obviously dealt with a lot of injuries and whatnot, but when he plays, he is a key cog to Jason Kidd's rotation and does exactly what Kidd wants him to do. Again, I talk about pace. Exum is a guy that certainly gives you some pace as well, but he really does provide the point of attack defense, speed and connectivity on offense, which is the Mavs have definitely missed when he's been injured. He's dealt with that broken right wrist. He's dealt with a bunch of different things that have kept him out for a significant portion of his tenure over the last couple of seasons. But when he does play, the Mavericks are absolutely a better team. He also is shooting lights out from three-point land with the Mavericks, hovering right around 45% in the last 2 seasons. So Exum is a guy, when you look at the Mavs point guard depth chart, and I'm assuming that it's without Spencer Dinwiddie, Exum is someone who can either start or come off the bench. And you have Kyrie Irving as the starting point guard. You have Brandon Williams as point guard 2. Exum there as your third. Now, you can probably interchange Williams and Exum there, Najee Marshall, who I know is not a point guard, but I put him on the list because he did play some point guard there at the end of the season. And then if you really have to, you go with Jaden Hardy as well. Now, I don't like Hardy as a point guard, but he can play it in a pinch. So when Kyrie returns, whether it be January, whether it be after the All-Star break, I think you're actually in a decent spot when it comes to the point guard position. You have a bunch of options. You have Kyrie, who's one of the most dynamic playmakers in the NBA, with Brandon Williams and Dante Exum behind them. You can even pair them together and play them both at the same time. So I really like where the Mavericks are at regarding that position, and I don't think they have to do much else other than re-sign Dante Exum this offseason. Now, does Exum get that taxpayer mid-level exception, which is right around $5.5 million or so? Or does he get a little more than that? I think if he gets a little more, it may be hard for the Mavericks to re-sign him, but if they're able to get him for the taxpayer mid-level exception or less, then I think Dante Exum should and will return to the Mavericks next season. We'll get to the rest of today's show here in just a moment, but I do need to tell you guys about our sponsor of today's show, which is, of course, Fanatics, and they do have Anthony Davis jerseys for sale. All you have to do is go to chatsports.com/Davis to get your AD jersey. All sizes and all uniform colors are available on Fanatics, and we get a part of the proceeds if you go through our link to go buy that AD jersey. Once again, it's chatsports.com/Davis. That link will be in the comments and the description of today's show. Go get hooked up with our friends at Fanatics today. All right, got to talk about Kyrie. And there obviously is the elephant in the room of his player option, which he may or may not take up. Either way, I do think Kyrie is going to be a Maverick next season. He was absolutely fantastic for the team over the last 2.5 years before he got hurt. He was the Mavericks team leader, even with Luka. Without Luka, he was the guy that kind of went to the media, went to the fans, and, he understood what everyone was going through. And he is the one that was really the voice of reason in the locker room. So outside of basketball, I think this team absolutely needs Kyrie. Now, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he takes up that player option and wants to rehab and play on that before hitting free agency next summer, or if the Mavericks and him can work out some sort of opt-out and sign or opt-in and extension before the season begins. Because either way, the Mavericks need Kyrie Irving on the roster. Kyrie Irving knows that the Mavericks need him on the roster. So Kyrie really holds all of the leverage here in negotiations. I think if Kyrie wanted to ask the Mavericks for that 5-year, $213 million max contract, the Mavs would have no choice but to give him that deal. I'm not sure Kyrie actually asked for that. I do think it's going to be closer to a 3-year deal, but the Mavericks really don't have a choice. Kyrie has to be on this roster next season, or this team is absolutely screwed. And we do not want that. We want Kyrie to come back in January. We want Kyrie to ball out and try to push this team towards the postseason. They're going to need a big boost from Kyrie when he returns from injury. And again, the Mavericks know they hold no leverage. Kyrie knows he holds all the leverage. So it'll be interesting. Kyrie will be back next year. We'll just see in what form, whether it's on the last year of his current contract or on the first year of a new deal. I want to ask you guys this, though, before we get on out of here. Will Kyrie finish his career with the Dallas Mavericks? If you think he will, type Y for yes. If you don't think so, type N for no, and let me know what you guys think. That's going to be it for today's show, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in to Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. If anything happens around the Mavericks, we will have the latest news and rumors covered for you. So hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon here on the channel.